It's been an eventful first hour for qualifying for the Indy 500. Alex Tagliani, Jackaroot's pick did not disappoint. 226.392. Remember that number. He's happy, but he looked over his shoulder only moments later for Castroneves. We figured he'd be the man that would be after him, and he was so close. 226.3 comes onto pit road. Tim Cindric.
Like that much.
When he says that much, 25 ten-thousandths of a second was he off of P1. Now, Paul Tracy, we expected that Paul Tracy would put down a number, didn't even get to start the qualifying attempt, got on the back straightaway, went into top gear, and he went between 5th and 6th gear. Paul Tracy will have to wait till later to take advantage of his run.
Yes, he said 25 ten-thousandths of a second difference between Tagliani and Castroneves over 10 miles. Here's Hideki Mutoh on the racetrack for Newman Haas Racing. Hideki Mutoh has had 2 starts at Indianapolis. His best start was in 2008, 9th, and his best finish was 7th that same year. Here's the white flag. His 2 laps so far, now 3 laps. 225.324. Second lap identical to the first. That's the second time we've seen that, identical laps. Third lap, 225.529.
Yeah, faster. You know, we were thinking that we just normally used up all the track there, but normally you have some fall off, but he's gotten a little bit faster on lap 3. Pretty
good.
Waste out run.
If he can keep improving, and he's close to matching lap 3, although he's slipping just a touch right now, he's going to be in the ballpark for the pole shootout.
Yeah, for the top 9.
Yeah. Fantastic job for Newman Haas.
4th lap, 225.514. Very consistent run at 225.423, and he is P6 right now. Hideki Mutoh. Lots more qualifying to come here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We're glad you joined us for an afternoon of qualifying. We'll be right back. The epic cycle continues on Versus with daily coverage of the Engine Tour of California. 3-time champion Levi Leipheimer looks to defend his crown as he rides against Andy Schleck and David Zabriskie and the world's best cyclists across the tough terrain of California. The Engine Tour of California tonight at 6:30 on Versus. The Borg-Warner Trophy, which every driver hopes to have his image on. One of the great symbols of sports down through the years. Someone will have his image placed on it a week from tomorrow. Milka Duno is on the racetrack with a 225.502, 223 rather, .502, and a 222.561.
And I'm just looking back through my sheets. That opening lap, that first lap of Milka, 223.5. That's the fastest lap she's done all month.
I saw that first lap. I'm like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
You know, unfortunately, she dropped to 222.5 the second lap, but it's there. There's a time to get up and get on it, and she did it on lap 1.
She could somehow dial that back.
Yeah.
Just shows that practice speeds are not always indicative of future performance.
Third lap, 222.052, so she's lost 1.5 miles an hour over the past 3 laps. This will be Milka's 4th 500-mile race should she gain a starting spot in the 33-car field. She finished 19th here in 2008. Best finish was was also that year 27th.
And I think we're safe to say, going on a limb here, I don't think that's good enough. That's not going to get you in the top 24.
No. Not today.
Now, that might be enough to get you to the top 33, but that doesn't play today. So
tune in tomorrow.
Had she maintained that first lap, she would have been close. The 4th lap is 221.554, so she lost 2 miles an hour. Average is 222.408. Ryan Hunter-Ray and Robbie Floyd.
And a 223.7, not what you were looking for, especially when you've been turning 225s. What happened? Where did you lose the mile an hour?
I couldn't find those other cars that have been out on the track with me. I don't know where they went.
Is that what it's been? Literally, you've been getting the toe to reach that number?
Well, it's just been, yeah, toes. But it's been a rough time for us so far. I mean, we're just plugging away. But TK on the first day took all 5 cars out at the same time, you know, within a half hour, and we were definitely at a 1.5 2 mile an hour deficit. But we've just been plugging away at it, squeezing it as much as we can, seeing if we can't get any drops of speed out of it. And we've gotten a little bit out of it, but in a straight line, we're having a hard time. Car's great through the corners, which means it's going to be a good race car. So I'm looking forward to just getting through qualifying and getting on to what matters, and that's the 500.
Yeah, but Lady Thaxton, you have to get in the race first, and I think Hideki likes his car, doesn't he?
Does, but Hideki says that he feels like you can find some more speed in that car, right?
Yes, I would say right now I'm happy. I'm right now P6, but I think we still need some speed, so we need to, I think, go out again this afternoon.
Thank you, Hideki. Jack?
Thanks.
Yeah, out on the racetrack right now, warming up Dario Franchitti, and by my analysis, guys, I think Dario may make an assault for the pole. Today, this morning, his mock qualifying run, a 2:26.153. If he can put together the kind of consistent laps that he had this morning, he might just unseat at P1 Alex Tagliani. Big difference, though, about 20 degrees of track temperature and about 20 degrees of ambient temperature as well.
Don't underestimate what that does. That track temperature that Jack talked about, all it takes for him to get to that average speed of beating 226.3 is just a little bit of balance change. For example, that front just isn't quite turning because the heat in the track, you know, shifted the center of pressure underneath the race car, and you're not going to get there. It's just such fine-tuning to put these cars on the front row.
And again, I think the expectation here is, okay, we didn't get a great draw, so let's just do whatever we can to take advantage of the draw we have before it gets even hotter and just somehow get into the pole shootout. You kind of, in one way, you sacrifice your pit selection. Want to enforce, if you just join, that the times in this particular session will count towards your pit selection, which is huge come race day.
Good lap. Lap 1, 2:26.153. He's third fastest according to our tracker. So Dario Franchitti is going to, it looks like, put himself solidly in the top 9. He's the defending IZOD IndyCar Series champion and was also in 2007. Here he comes to complete lap number 2. The speed is 226.323. He's up.
Obviously, they've made some great adjustments in that sensitive balance area that you got to have with that track temperature coming up.
What's interesting, guys, his laps are going up rather than going down. In his mock qualifying, it went from a 2:26.3 to a 2:26.0.
Again, we need to expect the unexpected. When we think we see a pattern going on, somebody sure enough throws a wrench in it.
White flag out for Dario Franchitti. And the third lap is 2:26.084.
And Jan, coming back to what he said, is right now the focus is saying, okay, we didn't get a great draw, get to that top 9. Remember, when we have that top 9, all these speeds are thrown away, and they go out at 4:30, and that's when they post that time to be in the top 9.
Also consider when you have a multi-car team, you average position. So Scott Dixon, at the moment, sitting in the 4th spot. This helps team average.
Yeah. Checkered flag is waving.
Checkered flag.
The 4th lap is 2:26.063, his slowest. 2:26.156 is the 4-lap average.
Only P3.
Yep, he is indeed P3. Alongside Elio Castroneves and Alex Tagliani. Another former champion of the Indianapolis 500 is going on to the racetrack to qualify for, hopefully, another win here at Indianapolis.
Danica Patrick leads the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500, but Dan Wheldon is coming and coming fast. It doesn't matter all the other ones he's won. This is the one he wants. Strap in, folks. It's going to be a good one. The leader now is Dan Wheldon. He gets the pass. The number 26 has never won the Indianapolis 500 until this day. The checkered flag is out, and Dan Wheldon claims the 89th running of the Indianapolis 500.
That sweet drink of milk at the conclusion of the 500-mile race. Someone will experience it a week from tomorrow. The 2010 edition. Dan Wheldon won in 2005. He has never been on the pole here in Indianapolis, but did start in second position in 2004. Looking for his 8th start in an Indy 500.
I saw Dan last night, and he was the only car in that National Guard car that wasn't on the track yesterday. I said, so why did you guys go out? And he said, you know, we thought it was going to rain, so we really just took the time to massage some stuff on the car. But if anybody can be fast, he knows how to drive off that right rear and be faster than get out and drive a free race car, a loose race car around here. Jack?
And guys, he's got several thousand of his closest friends that are watching and are going to be watching very carefully. In fact, tomorrow, Dan Wheldon will have a live hookup at his suite, at his luxury coach, with the National Guard units that have been dispatched to Iraq and Iran. Remember, this car in camouflage, dedicated to the men that keep us safe in the National Guard, and they're going to do it two-way on Memorial Day. I think it's pretty fitting, don't you?
Indeed, always carrying colors proudly of the National Guard, Dan Wheldon, and he is about to complete his first lap of qualifying. Let's see what he does for Panther Racing. First lap is 225.047. Good lap.
You know, you talk what a fickle racetrack this is, from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next. When they rolled off Dan Wheldon with that Panther race car, they were pretty fast, pretty happy right from the get-go. Then I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, he wasn't very happy with the race car. So it's amazing how it just can flip-flop with a team that's got experience, won races, always been fast, a driver that's a champion around here. You just can't assume anything. You can never leave this racetrack and say, well, I got it figured out.
He crashed the car last Sunday off of turn number 4. Didn't damage it very much. He didn't hurt himself. Second lap, 224.667. Dan Wheldon has led more laps during the Indianapolis 500 than any other active driver. 234. That puts him 21st on the all-time list. Next is Elio, and then Scott Dixon, who is tied with Jimmy Murphy. Off of corner number 4 onto the front stretch. Here's lap number 3 completed. The white flag comes out. Third lap, 224.314.
So what we're seeing there in his lap times of 1 to 3, just a little bit of that fall off. That's that more that normal spread from lap 1 to 3.
Look out!
Talk about free. He was free there.
I was looking at the numbers. You guys were watching the car, so I just talked numbers.
Is that why you jumped?
He jumped because I went, woo! Anytime you shift over from the black part of the race chart, of course, to that light gray, it gets hairy.
Checkered flag for Dan Wheldon. Fourth lap, 223.831. The average is 224.464. So he is P11. Here's Wheldon. Awfully close to the wall on several of his laps there.
That's no big deal. That's no big deal.
That was slow motion.
Right. Stay with us for more qualifying on pole day at Indianapolis here on Versus. Partly cloudy skies, even sunshine over the track today. Tomorrow we will have more qualifying. It's bump day. Our coverage begins at noon until 6:30. Then on carb day next Friday, the Freedom 100 final practice, the pit stop competition. It all begins at 11 o'clock. And our post-race show is at about 4:30 next Sunday afternoon after the 500-mile race has been concluded. We have a really good run going for Ed Carpenter. First lap 225.3, second lap 225.5.
Ed was pretty happy. Again, you know, he's a guy that hasn't been in the car all year. I said, what's it like? Do you feel rusty? He said after that third time by, nope. You just get right back with it.
Fuzzy's vodka on the side of that car. That is a product from another native Hoosier, Fuzzy Zeller from New Albany, Indiana. Third lap complete for Ed. It's 225.445. So again, very consistent.
Yeah, maintaining a really good speed. I mean, we saw his team car go out right before him with Wheldon, and he dropped down slower every lap all throughout all four. So maybe it's just a little different balance that Eddie's starting with, or just how he's adjusting what he's got in the car with bars or jacker to maintain some great speed.
That is a team car. It is his car that he brought with him from Vision. So it's a car he's familiar with, but as you said, from the Panther stable. Yeah. And he's significantly quicker than Wheldon from the same camp. Nice run.
Fantastic.
224.343, down considerably on lap number 4, but it's a good average of 225.166, and he is P8 at the moment. He is in the Fast 9. A lot of cars yet to qualify, including Danica Patrick. Ryan Briscoe will qualify a little bit later. Danica Patrick is coming up very shortly. Come back with us for more qualifying at Indy.
We can break out, we can be free, faster and faster, you and me.
The drama, the excitement, the emotion of pole day at Indianapolis. We are well underway. We've had a little over an hour and a half of qualifying, and it's been solid action since the drop of the green flag for the first qualifier. On the track now is Justin Wilson, who is seeking his third start in a 500. Last year, his first qualifying run on pole day was disallowed due to unapproved ballast. He was driving at that time for Dale Coyne Racing. This year is a Dreyer and Reinbold chauffeur. And his first lap was 224.8, and he picked it up on the second lap to over 225. His third lap
should be better.
Yeah, 225.134. Tracker says 9th.
We like that direction. You know, again, we talk about how this track can play mind games with you. Yesterday, they had a clip come off on kind of how the engine cover, underneath the engine cover, shoves the air down into the motor. Well, a clip had come off, and the air was blowing through there. And they went through 4 runs, and they said, just something's happening. But they wasted 4 runs.
It's clipped now. This one should be quicker yet. 225.2 now slipping to a 225.1. That'll be a nice finish.
It's 225.183. And the average is 225.050, and that puts him at P9. Just where he wants to be. Well, certainly better than that, but he is in the top 9 at the moment. But again, we've got a lot of qualifiers to go, including Danica Patrick, Ryan Briscoe, and Tony Kanaan yet to qualify. Robbie?
I'm with Dario Franchitti, and Dario, what a difference a day makes. How was it in the car today compared to yesterday?
Yeah, this morning was quicker. We made some changes to the target car overnight, and it was definitely better. So we're pretty happy with that. When it got warmer, we actually slowed down a bit from this morning. So we might go back out and have another go at it.
But you have to be pleased. I mean, it's warmer. Speed should be going down, and you're turning fast times.
Oh, yeah, we're a lot happier than we were yesterday. Put it that way. But there's still a little work to do. We're heading out there. We're trying to get the pole, and we'll see if we've got the speed for it or not.
Lindy Thaxton, Dario's happy, Chip's happy, and they know that they're going to make it into that 9 shootout. Anything could happen there.
Well, we saw Dan Wheldon get pretty high up there on the track, almost touching that wall maybe. Talk about the handling issues out there for you.
It was just, we obviously had a very quick morning practice session, and there was still a slight imbalance that we needed to fix, and we just didn't quite fix it. I think the weather conditions might have played a little bit of a factor, but you know, nonetheless, I think you know, certainly all the National Guard Panther Racing boys, I think we know what we're capable of. I think we'll kind of go back, put the car on the pad, and then potentially go back out. Obviously, that's the boss's call, but you know, certainly the car has been quick all month, and just excited to be back in Indianapolis. obviously not in the position that I'd like to be in, but there's still a lot of track time left.
Thank you, Dan. And Danica Patrick has taken the green.
The only woman to lead the Indianapolis 500. The best finish came last year in 3rd position, Jack.
But they have struggled ever since they brought this GoDaddy.com car to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I talked to Ziggy Hargis, who works on the crew, and said, how can the car be so bad compared to some of the other cars? He said, that's what's got us really confounded. So what they did yesterday, they went back through their notes, not from this year, not from last year, but from the year before. And Danica and Eddie Jones and the team started putting together a comfort zone for Danica Patrick and said, we'll build from that. She got a little quicker yesterday. Let's see how she does in qualifying.
224.873 is the first lap.
Remember, she had said if they didn't make a change, she'd go back and cry herself to sleep. We got that quote from her yesterday saying it was an improvement. And what she didn't like was that they didn't have stability at the rear. And each driver has a different comfort level of what they like for the rear. Robbie, you mentioned, we just heard from Dan Wheldon. He happens to be a guy that doesn't need much comfort. There are other people that want a lot solid feeling rear end. Not that one's faster than the other, it's just driver preference.
And usually when an engineer looks into the eyes of the driver, what he always wants to hear from theirs, he wants the rear of that car to be solid. Usually that's the main thing. If that's solid, then they can keep tuning anything else on the race car. But it's when that rear starts moving around, it's like, oh boy, just takes away your ability to drive it hard into the corner.
224.655 was the second lap for Danica Patrick, a little bit slower than lap number 1.
But again, if she can maintain this pace, I think this is a really good, solid pace to make sure you're in that top 24. So when it comes to tomorrow, she can focus on race setup.
A little bit slower on lap number 3, 223.920. Danica Patrick from Roscoe, Illinois. 28 years of age. Sets the car into turn number 3. She resides in Phoenix, Arizona now. Calls Roscoe, however, the home. And here she is in turn number 4 onto the front stretch. And Danica Patrick is about to take the checkered flag. Let's see what lap number 4 is. And the tracker says 15th. It is 223.428, average 224.217, and she is 15th, P15.
Now, we've talked about managing expectations. We've said this is good for Danica. She's going to be in the top 24. But when you hear Dario Franchitti, who's sitting 3rd right now, saying, well, we're going to do some tuning and come back out again. Hang on a minute. You only have to be in the top 9 for the pole shootout. But there's a lot at stake today, and we're going to see people that we think are just managing expectations come out again. It's going to make it awesome.
Still lots of cars to qualify, as there are lots of cars in line at the moment. And among those yet to qualify, Ryan Briscoe and Tony Kanaan. Sebastian Saavedra is next in line. Ryan Briscoe coming up, and so is Tony Kanaan. Could they be a pole sitter? Ryan Briscoe is in line to qualify at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And behind him, Tony Kanaan in the green and white car, 7-11. And there is the line. Now, Paul Tracy, remember, did not complete. In fact, he did not take the flag when he went onto the racetrack because the car apparently popped out of gear. So he has to go to the end. There he is. The car is way back in line. He will be out, however, before too much longer, as we have qualified now 21 cars. So in just 3 more, we will begin the bumping process of getting into the top 24, which is all that will qualify today. Rafael Matos has completed 3 laps, 225.337, 224.916, and 225.047.
And you just saw where the ruler had him slotted into P9 there.
Yep.
As you're saying, is our predictions for what we thought it was going to take to be in that 9th position and on up is looking like those speeds are climbing.
Are you wanting to revise?
No, I never revise.
Good. I'd like to hear
I'm committed.
Good.
Checkered flag. And the fourth lap is 224.815. There's Jill DeFerrin, the 2003 Indianapolis 500 winner, who is co-owner of that car.
Along with Jay Penske in the number 2 hat there.
Yep. Lindy is with Danica.
Danica, you had told me yesterday you weren't really too comfortable with the stability. How were you feeling out there today?
This is the worst car I've ever had. I couldn't even be flat. The GoDaddy car does not deserve to be this far down. A lot of us are struggling. Cars aren't good. They're really bad.
What do you think the problem is?
I'm not an engineer, so I don't really know. I mean, all I know is that there's no stability or grip, and it's just scary, really scary.
So what are your plans now? What do you do now?
Honestly, the only thing I can imagine doing is just adding downforce and going out again, but would I actually go any quicker? I don't know. On the other hand, somehow I wish we would just be over with now. It's awful. It's awful.
Describe the feeling of being out there going that fast and you are straight up not feeling safe and comfortable.
I think I'm still shaking. It's scary.
Okay, thanks, Danica.
And that, folks, is another example of what the drivers have to go through on pole day at Indianapolis.
Welcome to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You know, right now, I think she should shift gears. I think she's fine to be in that top 24. And if she wants more downforce in the car and shift gears, get into developing your race car. You know what? I think you're safe. Put this behind you, the trimming. Look at the face.
Yeah.
Wow. You get into such a zone at this racetrack. You forget about everything else that's going on. Right now, she's just thinking how much she was fighting that race car. But as I said, maybe the best thing to do right now is get that car into race trim, get some downforce in it, and say qualifying's behind us. If we think a 24.2 average gets you into the top 24.
Sebastian Saavedra, another rookie here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and the only driver who hopes to drive in both races here this month. He has arrived for the Firestone Indy Lights race, Freedom 100 on Carb Day this coming Friday, and of course also trying to make the race the 500, the big race. He was the 2009 Rookie of the Year in the Firestone Indy Lights race. The speed on lap number 1 is 222.578.
That's a good speed.
Talking with Brian Herta yesterday, I went down on the pit stand and just said, how are things going with Saavedra? He said, well, he said, Robbie, at age 19, Saavedra, he said, think back when you and I were in our careers and we were about 25, 26, and where we were with just experience and maturity. He said, that's where this kid is right now at age 19.
Wow.
Which I thought was a pretty good compliment coming from Brian Herta, that's sitting there with the headphones on, listening to him and coaching him.
Obviously, I got my numbers reversed there. I thought it was 225.2, not a 2.5. So, you know, that is not what he was looking. Very nice of you not to slap me around there. You just looked at me and go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you know, no, we got. You know, I'm gonna wait till I peak a little bit later with you. You know, it's not even 1 o'clock.
Got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'll start ramping that up about 3:30.
All right. But no, this is not what he wanted. I thought for a moment it was a 225, which he would have been thrilled.
Yeah, another guy that's also helping out with that camp. It was great to see him. Whoa! That car, another guy I started to nicely say before I saw that save is Roberto Guerrero is out there.
That's right.
On the stand with those guys as well.
A fellow Colombian, Roberto Guerrero, former pole sitter here at Indianapolis, coaching Sebastian Saavedra.
Wow, that's when I'm happy I'm up here with you boys.
Yeah, that was a good save. Checkered flag coming up.
Well, that just goes to show, Bob, that even at 222 miles an hour, which we're saying, well, you know, that's not really what he wants and so on, you're still out there trying to save your life and get the thing as fast as you can. And you can see that as soon as it starts to get, and that's a good, nice four-wheel drift, and then at the end, the thing starts to step out the rear.
He's just high. He comes off the middle portion of the corner and gets high, and then he realizes, boy, I better get this thing back.
So you can't say he's not driving it.
Saavedra 222.4, second slowest. Robbie is with Ed Carpenter.
And Ed just told me, come on, son, come on, Heat, come on, win. He's in PA right now wanting to make that 9.
It's getting tricky out there. You know, we haven't had sunshine all week. The track temp's really high right now, so my car hadn't handled that bad all week. I had my hands full, but you know, it's qualifying in Indy. You just got to hang on to it and see what you can get. So I think everyone's going through the same thing. Listen to Danica on the other camera, but it's tough out there. So I know that we can make the car better if we get bumped out. I think we can go back out and get back in. I'm happy with the speed in the Fuzzy's car.
Yeah, you seem to be very comfortable out there. And let's bring in the man who
it was a relative word in qualifying.
Oh, is this real? Now, Fuzzy Zeller, you're the principal for the Fuzzy's Ultra Premium Vodka. What do you think about all this Indy 500 stuff? You've been here before.
I got to tell you, I've been here before, yes, but never been involved with an automobile. It's truly outstanding. It's amazing what goes in and the talents that these guys have when they get behind that wheel. And I'm just glad we got him a car that's very, very competitive. And if he says he can get more out of it, that's pretty impressive.
How's this different with all the Palm circumstance compared to Augusta, say? Because that is the Indy 500 of the golfing world.
Well, there's really no hills out here, just curves, you know what I mean? So,
I don't know which is faster, the greens at Augusta or here at Indy.
Well, I'd have to say the boys will beat us out. Augusta's fast now, I won't tell you that, but what they do out there is truly absolutely amazes me.
So the Fuzzy's Premium Vodka, and I was talking to him earlier, I said, if you're doing body shots with that, would that be a fuzzy navel?
Right. The proud Hoosiers, favorite sons in the state of Indiana. Don't sell this guy short. This is Mario Moraes, and he has been fast in practice here at Indianapolis. Let's see what he can do. 225.9 has been his fastest. And the average now for P9, which right now is what they're shooting for, you can see there is Justin Wilson at 225.050. And the 224.565 is not going to do it for Mario.
And Mario, really, for that whole KV racing operation, right now, he's got to leave the flag. We had Paul Tracy that went out earlier, thought he was going to post a time for the KV team, but that car came out of gear. He's at the back of the line. Sato, we saw that he got in the wall this morning.
Whoa!
And,
too.
You know, EJ Bizo, he's good. You know, he crashed the other day, but he's in backup car, so... You know, they're looking for Mario to make a stout run, get him in the field solid, and shift the focus to the other guys.
Well, we've heard what the issue is. You saw Danica holding back tears at how tough it was. Then you had confirmation from the other drivers and Carpenter saying it's really, really tricky out there. And you have Sebastian Saavedra as a rookie only going 222, almost slapping the wall. This now with the sun coming out is really a handful.
It is. When Ed said we haven't seen the sun in several days, he was right. I mean, this past week has just been, if not raining, it's been very, very cloudy. The third lap for Mario Moraes, Jack, is 224.449.
And what's been so interesting is in the last 15 to 20 minutes with the sun out, we like to call it the track is beginning to bake.
Oh, look out! No.
Darn it.
That's the third car owned by Kevin Kalkoven now that has backed into the wall.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, the good news is Mario's okay.
Yes. His other car hit at 128 Gs. Thankfully, this knocked off a lot of speed before he contacted.
Our first incident in qualifying itself. Here it is.
Oh, he was high. He was high coming in.
Really didn't do a whole
they're
lot
going
of
to be able to
damage,
get that thing back together fairly.
Well,
yeah, you always
never
say
know.
that.
You never know how
That's
things
my team
transfer.
owner hat. That doesn't look that bad.
That's fine.
No, Jimmy and Kevin, you're going to be okay.
Wow.
Well, it'll bring a halt to things here as they'll have to clean up the debris on the racetrack and get Mario's car back to the pit area.
Well, we were definitely seeing the indications there as we were just going to Jack as he was going to kind of say, yeah, the temperatures are going up, and with what you had said. And
Kevin Kalkoven, one of the owners of KV Racing Technology.
Yeah, talking about that track temperature and that story, it's gone from about 95 degrees to now the track temperature's at 107 degrees.
Wow.
You know, we just saw those crashes, and you talked about Sato's crash. Some of the safety improvements that have taken place over the course of the last decade or so, and probably one besides the Hans device, are these custom-fitted seats. Each driver, wherever he goes, he takes his seat with him. Why? Because it's poured directly to the contours when he sits in the car. Now, basically, you're in what they call a supine position in this sort of area this way. This has become so important to driver safety. That along with the rear end attenuator that's on the back end of the gearbox, so that when you crash, this is deformable structure. This will absorb an awful lot of the G-forces that are transmitted, like that 100+ G-force crash. But here's one of the latest improvements, fellas, that I find interesting. In the surround around the helmets now, what they've done by the onboard black boxes that all these drivers carry, the medical staff has forced for the development an additional headrest. Now, you can see how thick it is. That goes behind the driver's head and his helmet. When there is that force backwards, this also takes a lot of what they call the brain whiplash, and combined with the Hans device, knock on wood, these cars have become so much safer.
You're absolutely right, Jack, and thank goodness, as we can see, Mario is walking away from this crash.
And I just, commenting on what Jack was saying, you have that padding that goes behind the helmet. You have the Hans, but that padding behind the helmet, that's not just padding that you put there that just absorbs that helmet energy. It absorbs it and it doesn't kick it back. They've evolved that energy and that absorbing foam over the last 10 years. It's not just something you go buy at the dime store. I mean, there is a science behind controlling it.
Well, Mario's teammate, E.J. Viso, this is his crash from a few days ago, and that was, as Jan indicated, a 128, was it?
128 Gs. The team said that the gearbox housing, and you can see it on impact here, they had never seen a gearbox housing just disintegrate like that did. It was a huge hit for E.J. Viso. He was lifted out on a stretcher with back pain, but amazingly was released from the hospital and is back driving.
No broken bones. Did get a bump on the knee, I guess, but miraculous that he was not injured. Okay, well, we are in a bit of a lull here because of the first incident during qualifying. It came when Mario Moraes backed into the safer barrier in turn number 2 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Stay with us for more qualifying. Mark on the wall indicates that we have had an incident here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And by the way, he did not hit the safer barrier. Mario Moraes hit just past that on the concrete wall. It happened at turn number 2, Jan. Let's see what happened to Mario.
Well, part of it is he gets high and the car starts to drift and he doesn't go on the brakes. He gasses it. He stays on. Watch, the front wheels and the rear wheels do not lock up. He's not aborting. He's not going for the panic brakes. He's on the throttle here to try and keep it off, and that's why he goes past the safer barrier. In effect, I think that saved him a lot of damage on the car, the way he stayed on the throttle. From the other angle, you get a really clear view once the car turns sideways, and let's stop it right about here. And what you're looking at here is the wheels are still rotating in this direction. Both the front, of course, you're powering with the throttle, not having gone for the brakes, and that's essentially driving the car away from the wall, and I think lessen the impact.
Absolutely lessen the impact. Yeah, great call.
Mario walked away, of course. The car not too badly damaged. They, of course, will make that assessment back in the garage area and gasoline alley. But, boy, it's a tough month for the KV Racing Technology team, that's for sure. We have had 23 qualifiers, so the next one will fill 24. We do have the top 9 positions filled, and they look like this. Alex Tagliani is the fastest at 226.392. Then Castroneves, Franchitti, Power, Dixon, Ray Hall, Mutoh, Carpenter, and Wilson. Again, the top 9 at 4 o'clock. Will go into the shootout between 4:30 and 6, as those 9 cars will have their Speeds wiped away. They must go out and qualify at least once in the 4:30-6 period to determine the starters in the 500 this year. Simona Di Silvestru's car is next in line, and then comes Ryan Briscoe, and then after that, Tony Kanaan. So a lot of action coming up still here at Indy. More uncertainty for the KV Racing Technology team. EJ Viso took the green flag, then dumped the throttle and is coasting into pit lane. So EJ Viso having some kind of problem. His warm-up was what, Jan? 221?
221, and then Jack Arute, of course, in the IZOC Performance Center is right at the entrance to turn 1, said it sounded sick when it came through there. So we're assuming some sort of drive malfunction. Jimmy Vasser, the V in KV Racing, of course, thinking, man, oh man, you gotta be kidding.
Ryan Briscoe is standing by with Lindy Thaxton.
Ryan just signing some autographs for the fans. Doing his little duty out here. Okay, Ryan, so you come out of the car P8, Ryan. Are you in a pretty tricky, you're fine. You come out of the car P8. Are you in a pretty tricky spot right there? I mean, what do you do in this case?
Yeah, I was hoping to be a little bit more comfortable, but it's not. But luckily, it's early. We've still got, 2.5 hours before the deadline at 4 o'clock, and we're going to have time to make some adjustments and try to go quicker a little bit later on.
I understand you're helping some fans. What's going on with your Twitter contest?
Well, all the guesses are in. That stopped at midnight last night, and hopefully they guess right. But my qualifying speed today will win somebody a trip to the 500 next week, and I'm putting them up in a hotel downtown, travel expenses, and Carb Day and race day tickets. So I'll be really excited to see who wins tonight, and hopefully meet them next week.
Wow, not too bad.
Yeah.
Now, I understand yesterday you tried different cars, you changed the engine. How do you feel it all worked out?
Pretty good. We went through both the T car and the primary car, and we just seemed to be lacking a bit of speed, so we swapped engines just to be sure. And I was really happy the way we finished last night. So we had really good speed this morning as well. I think now in qualifying, we just got a bit of an unlucky draw. It's very hot out now. We just lost a bit of speed, but I think the car's working really strong, and I just want to be in that fast 9, come 4 o'clock, so I've got a shot at the pole later on.
Ryan, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
The Team Penske cars are second rather, in terms of speed. Power is P4, and Briscoe right now is P8. As qualifying is underway once again after EJ Viso's aborted run. And the 36 car of Bertrand Baguette is on the racetrack. By the way, Ryan married over the past winter to an old friend of ours, Nicole Mansky. Bertrand Baguette, a rookie here at Indianapolis, is the 2009 World Series by Renault champion. He's from Belgium and becomes the first driver from that country to race here since 1999, when Wim Ekmans drove here. He was some relation to Eddie Cheever, wasn't he?
Don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember when
wasn't he? I think so.
No one's going to give you a confirmation on that, Bobby.
No, I'm learning something. I didn't realize.
If not related, I know Eddie was. Boy, he got close to the wall, didn't he? He was sort of a protege of Eddie.
Whatever you say, Bob.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And whatever it is, I'm sure Eddie took credit for it. If something good happened.
Fellas, the one thing I remember about that is that when I interviewed him, I asked him what he thought. He says, "I just want to go fast."
You'd have to say the benchmark here would be his team car. Romancini was 223.3, and he's beat that.
Yeah,
he's lap one.
Almost 224 for Bertrand, 223.9.
Which isn't really a surprise when you compare him to his team car, because Bertrand has always been a little bit quicker for some reason than Mario. You would think it'd be reversed with Mario at least having been here with Indy lights program, but he's adapted very well and very comfortable in the race car.
He's had a couple of 20th place finishes in the Eyes on IndyCar series so far this year at Barber and at Kansas. Didn't join the team until that race at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham. Second lap is 224.219, so he picked it up on lap 2. The best finish, by the way, of a Belgium driver here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was in, and you might be able to remember this, Robbie, it was in 1913 when Theodore Paulette started 13th and finished 5th.
It was. That was at the tip of my tongue, but you didn't give me a window. You didn't give me a window on it.
Isn't he friends with Eddie Cheever?
Yeah, I think so.
I like poking sticks at Cheever.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Third lap. 224.243. He's probably listening right now. Maybe up here before too long.
But so, this is what makes this place so special in just the formula of the series. I mean, we heard from KV and we heard from Michael Andretti just how those guys are fighting. But as big teams with a lot of guys and a lot of data that they're receiving from all the cars, and then you see Eric's team that, you know, he got put together late this year. And hey, this is looking like a pretty solid run for Brown. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, that's why we love this place.
Yep. Score one for David here. David versus Goliath. We've heard from the Goliaths that are struggling. And like you said, nice couple of small teams doing very well.
Good, solid run. He's P19 at 224.189 for Bertrand Baguette. Vitor Meira goes on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, sat out all the remaining races last year because of a crash during last year's 500.
I'm not gonna lie that the first sort of laps, the first outings was a little nerve-wracking because it was in Indy that I tested the car first time. But afterwards, I mean, everything became normal and like it was before. The reality is I was doing something that I always going to do when the accident happened. I was not putting myself in any crazy position. I was doing what I always do, and things happened. So when I come back, I'm not even gonna think about it and do the same way I was doing because there was nothing wrong with
it. Vitor Meira warming up his car, owned of course by AJ Foyt, the ABC Supply Company sponsored machine. Fastest lap of the month was 224.5. The P9 average is 225.1. That is by Ed Carpenter. He currently occupies P9.
We're even now.
Jan, you got sucked in the same thing that I did earlier when I saw that puff of smoke from there.
Yeah, but cars have already been out. You shouldn't see any puff of smokes right now. Anyway, so gotta be going.
So yours is worse.
Whatever.
Sebastian Saavedra, by the way, is out of the top 24. Now the driver on the bubble is Mario Romancini, and the green flag comes out for Vitor Meira, seeking his 8th start in an Indy 500. His best start was 6th in 2006. He finished in the runner-up position in 2005 and in 2008.
And if you look for that top 24 spot, that Romancini is at 223.3. I was thinking that's what you needed to make that top 24, and apparently it's going to be quicker. Great.
In 7 starts here at Indianapolis, he's completed all but 28 laps, and 27 of those were because of last year's incident. 223.606. Needs a little bit more than that, doesn't he?
He will not at all be happy with that.
Well, his engineer, Jeff Britton, has been with Vitor before when Vitor ran second here. And Britton was also, I believe, with Scott Sharp. When Sharp was really quick for 1 year and on the pole, Britton was that. So, I mean, there's a good brain trust there. And then you throw AJ in there with everything that he knows. They'll come back, get it sorted if they need to.
Second lap for Meira, 224.260. He picked it up a half a mile an hour.
Okay, what does that come back to? Does that come back to just, again, the challenge? I saw a clip that we showed at the beginning of this that Dixon just said, turn 1, that's the worst thing. Lap 1, turn 1 of qualifying. It just because you don't quite know what you have. Once you've gotten through turn one, everything's great, but it's that challenge. And if you just breathe it a little bit, it can cost you, and that's maybe the difference in that, you know, the 5/10 we're seeing there from lap 1 to lap 2.
It's also worth watching that he doesn't like the white line. He stays high in the middle of the corner, runs a higher line, which typically sees some other people are right on that white line.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
And you'll tend to run high if it's loose.
Yeah,
you don't want to pinch it down if it's loose. That's an indicator that I don't want to turn more than I have to.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do when the car is loose at the rear is turn the wheel.
Yep. But you have to 4 times.
But the flip side of it, if you want to be super duper fast around here, the least amount that you're turning that wheel takes scrub off of it. You know, it doesn't have as much scrub. If it's turning in, you can make it work.
Checkered flag. Vitor Meira completes his qualifying run. 4th lap is 224.100, and the average is 224.033. He is P20. And the no brake indicator on the steering wheel is from Paul Tracy.
The reason there is that you don't use the brakes during qualifying, but you want to be sure they stay off of the rotors and don't cause any drag. So they actually push them back to be sure there's no drag whatsoever.
No other car in line to qualify. Paul is very quotable, and we picked up a quote that he had regarding the amount of time that we have had with good running conditions here. Killing time is killing me. Frustrating part is we've had a bit of running. I tasted the meat. Now I'm back in my cage, and there's a whole carcass outside. It's out of reach.
Oh, PT. Good for PT.
So Tracy had the car pop out of gear earlier in 6 starts here at Indianapolis. His best finish was in 2002 when he came in second to Helio Castroneves. He's had a 226.3 earlier in the month. Let's see what he can do when the chips are down and he's out there qualifying. Jack?
Paul Tracy will be the first to admit that getting back here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 1 year ago helped him considerably. But this year he's been reunited, as you guys have talked about before, with Barry Green. The two of them experienced so much success together, but they were like the odd couple. I asked them, I said, you guys weren't afraid to get up in each other's grill? And they said, yep, but we also knew and respected that both of us had a passion for what we do.
And that relationship that they have and that communication from talking from pit stand to the driver with being successful, that just puts you ahead before you even get to race day, and the green flag is having that.
A lot of bottoming, a lot of sparks. You would assume that would go away as the tire pressures and temperatures come up, but he's on the green here. You don't want to be dragging the car around the track.
223.998 first lap.
Ooh, another one that doesn't, another driver that doesn't like that white line. Now, he's been doing that not just today. He's been doing that throughout, just driving high everywhere.
I mean, that's what we expect from Paul Tracy too. I mean, he's not just quotable. Part of why his quotes are out there is the same way he drives. I mean, he lays it all out there.
Yep. Barry Green, of course, a brother of Kim Green, who was an owner with Michael Andretti until this year. Let's see what he does on lap number 2. Paul Tracy, it is 223.921.
Backs it up. Car looked pretty stable, so he ran that same line. Pretty much the car was in the same place as it was the lap before.
He was the 2003 Champ Car World Series champion, Paul Tracy. In turn number 4.
Just slotted back there to P23 as he came off of turn 4.
223.856. Each lap has been a little bit slower.
And just amazing, you're at the end of the line, and Paul Tracy may be the first KV racing car to actually get a qualifying time in and get something going. As we heard from Kevin Kalkoven, this just come off the tracks.
Yes. And remember, he was the second guy out. If he would have gone out at his designated time and not come out of gear, he probably would have been a lot faster because he had just gotten off the track an hour earlier this morning when the track temperature was, not even 80 degrees.
He's looking to bump Ryan Hunter-Reay out of the top 19, or 24 rather, and the fourth lap is 2:23.651. The average 2:23.856. He does bump out Ryan Hunter-Reay, but he himself is now the second slowest in the field. Anna Beatrice is the slowest at the moment, then Tracy and AJ Foyt the fourth. So the line has been completed. Everybody has had an opportunity to qualify if they wanted to, and we assume now the track is going to open for practice a little bit. We're about 2 hours and 13 minutes away from the closure of the track and the pole shootout at Indy. Almost 3 solid hours of qualifying, and we have 24 in the field. That's all that will qualify today. Several have been bumped. We'll tell you about them in a moment, but here are the ones that have qualified and successfully. Tagliani, the quickest at 2:26.329. Those drivers that you see there may move into the shootout if there is no change in the top 9. Justin Wilson is 10th fastest at 2:25. Danica Patrick having a real struggle, as Marco Andretti is, both of them in that area there. And then Anna Beatrice is the slowest in the field at the moment at 2:23.7. Paul Tracy, who just qualified, is second slowest at 2:23.8. Jack Arute is in the IZOD Pit Performance Center.
And I got to tell you, Bob, in the 26 years that I've covered the Indianapolis 500 and pole position qualifying, this is absolutely the most fun that I've had, and one of the reasons is because we're able to analyze some things. These are the P1 through P9 as we stand right now. Now look at Ed Carpenter's speed, 225.166 miles per hour. Justin Wilson and Mario Moraes are within 1/10 of a mile an hour of being able to take Ed Carpenter and move him right out of the top 9. So what is it going to take? This is where I think you've got to really be careful in terms of strategy. What you're going to need to do is watch the weather, watch the cloud cover. If you're back there and you're Wilson and you're Moraes, as soon as you see some cloud cover and the fact that we don't have that tech sled that we used to have, I get in that chute, I go out, I try to get my 4 laps and see if I can find the miles per hour to get me into P9 so that I can move on at 4:30 this afternoon. Lindy?
Following Paul Tracy here, and he's right now 23rd on the chart. And Paul, I heard you say this was pretty much the worst possible time you could have gone out.
Yeah, definitely frustrating for the whole KV team and Geico. I mean, we've had such a good week and everything's been going to plan, and then today it's like the wheels fell off the cart, with Sato crashing this morning, and we had a gearbox problem, and Mario crashing in his qualifying run, and EJ having a gearbox problem. So that was a pretty conservative setup, hoping we could run 224. We were right on the cusp of that, but it's not fast enough, and we're gonna have to come back out and try it again.
How do you keep focused when things like that are going on with the whole team? It can't be easy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you just got to stay calm and let the team do their work. But today it's like the wheels fell off it today, so it's definitely frustrating.
And so your issue this morning when you went back and looked ended up being the gearbox?
Yeah, I went from 4th to 5th gear for top gear for my qualifying run, and got a neutral, and it looks like that happened to EJ as well.
We'll see you back out here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, thanks.
And a little bit later in the program, Jack Arute will have his famous in-color interview with Barry Green and Paul Tracy. But when we come back, Jack Arute will be talking to the guy who is currently P1. That, of course, is Alex Tagliani. And so we'll be back with that in just a moment from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Welcome back to to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is Pete Pole Day here at the greatest spectacle in racing, leading up to the running next week of the Indianapolis 500. You're going to hear cars out on the racetrack because for the first time since 11 o'clock this morning, the track is open for practice. Joining me now in P1. Now, years ago, they would have said he was the provisional pole winner, but Alex Tagliani went out early, and because of the new chase at 4:30, where you actually go for the pole, you get seated in P1 and then have to do it all over again. But what about that run? Tell me first about the weather conditions, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, there's some very competitive cars, obviously, because I think the weather has affected the performance of the car. Obviously, it's a little bit more slippery, and so we took advantage of an early draw yesterday night to go out early and post a great lap. But, you know, we have to be cautious, and what's fun for the fans this afternoon is not fun to the driver. I would like just to be on the pole right now, but it's going to be interesting and very intense this afternoon.
Now, I understand, Tags, you haven't seen your pole run yet. Is that right?
No, I didn't.
You ready for it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go to the big board. All right, here you are.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, again, I looked at the car and I looked at it in the garage, and what a great job the boys have done on preparing this machine, you know, like as fine-tuned as possible. The engineer gave me a really, really good car, and it's, you know, like you can see the sparks coming out of the back. It's
Do you feel that, Tags, when you're in the car?
Yes. It's bottoming a little bit, but you have to be as low as possible. When you're running very little downforce, I mean, you're trying as much as possible to run as low as possible so you can get the ground effect if you're taking wing out, and that's why you can see those little sparks coming up and once in a while in the corner, especially when the car is loaded. Maximum amount of load, you'll see it is like when you get close to the apex in turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4, and that's when the car touches a little bit.
Yeah, but watch right here. You don't really take out full advantage of the real estate. This car seems to be hooked up.
Yeah, the car is quite hooked up, and the thing is, everybody has their own line. Everybody has their, you know, their own mentality about Indy, and you know, if you can run and not really just run too much road, you know, too much real estate, then obviously your lap is going to be a little bit quicker. And I've been looking at the data, analyzing the data, and that's where we need to be to run quick. So unless the car asks me to go all the way to the wall, I'm not just going to take it there because I want to run a short line.
When you're in the midst of a run like this, when do you know that you've got it locked? And when do you know that you've got what you need? I mean, I know you've got all the data on the dashboard, but you still feel it in the seat of your pants, don't you?
Yes. You look at the dash, I mean, you see, you know, miles per hour speed. It gives you an indication. My first lap, obviously, was a 226.7, and that gave me a little bit of an indication that the car was good, but also I made the mistake where, you know, on the second and third lap, I was not aggressive enough with the tools I had in the car to keep the nose down, and I got a little bit too much push. The car slid around a little bit more, and you know, my average got down a little bit too low than I was expecting.
All right, this is the last lap, 2.5 miles to P1. You knew you had a good one here, right?
Yeah, but it was the time in my career that I was the most stressed.
Really?
Yeah, because I just wanted to complete it. You know, I've led races and I had things happen, you know, last minute. So, you know, but again, great job. Take my hat off to the boys. You know, car's fast and just very consistent. You know, like I know that we need to do a little bit more for the top 9 shootout, and if we do, I think we'll look pretty good.
Here you are, come down to that yard of bricks, and what a difference a year makes.
Yeah, I'm still glad that I had to go through the emotions and the experience of Indianapolis 500, because when you do that, you know, and you go up and down in the roller coaster, you continue to have appreciation, but also respect. This track, you know, technically is challenging for the drivers, and you have to have respect. And every time, you know, something happens to you, you know, it keeps you reminding, all right, you know, this is Indy 500, you know, don't take it for granted.
Now, while you were knocked out on bump day, you were able to get your way back into the field last year, and you started 33rd, ended up in 11th position. What was that race like?
I think it was a combination of, you know, good team pit stop and a decent car, you know, like over the long run. The car was not the fastest, but it was solid in traffic, you know, like, and after long runs, you know, cars were coming back to us. We were able to pick up position on the racetrack, pick up position in the pits because we were not, you know, using too much fuel. So overall, it was kind of a combination of everything. Team, good car on the racetrack, and you know, good execution during the race.
Now, you realize you got a couple things you and Rob Edwards have got to think about. If you stay in P1, you will be the first choice of where to go when you go for the pole at 4:30 in the afternoon. Have you and Rob decided where you want to be in that line yet?
Yeah, we have an idea. We have actually 3 options.
All right, tell us.
Well, you know, I would like to be the last one to go, because I would like to see what other guys are doing, and I would like also to benefit from the weather going down. But that's taking advantage of the weather going down. If the weather doesn't go down as fast as I'm thinking, I would like to be option 2 first, so I have the chance to do another run. And then after I see the other guys behind me, what they do. And option 3, I can't tell you, because that's going to be exposing ourselves too much. But, and, you know, after I'm looking at this knife and this apple, you know, now I understand why I had the pressure to get the car on the pole today.
Well, I hate to break the news to you that now when you go for the actual shootout, you're going to have to balance it and run through the house.
Is the knife bigger?
Let's go to Robbie Floyd.
And I am with Justin Wilson and Dennis Reinbold. That's your man right there, sitting in 10th place, trying to get it in that top 9. Or are you trying to get into the 9 now?
I think I'm pretty happy with the way things went in qualifying, and you know, the Z-Line Designs car is working really well. Did a time that is better than what we expected, so I think we just got to be happy with that. And unless we suddenly get bumped down and we're sitting 22nd or 23rd, then you know, I don't see a point going back out there and risking anything.
I'm pretty sure you made the top 24. Is it just a heat factor right now? I mean, it's definitely different than when you drove earlier.
It's changing all the time, and the heat's obviously got the direct sunlight on the track, so there's less grip out of the surface, and the cars are moving around. You got the tailwind into 2, so you got the push through 2. You're trying to make it sharper for that, so you're getting loose out of 1. So it's fun to drive.
Well, Dennis, this isn't a one-trick pony. You have 4 cars trying to get into this race. What's it like? It looks like Mike Conway's very safe, but you have 2 others. Anna Beatrice, how's she looking?
Yeah, she's on the bubble right now. She had a good run this morning. We have a few things that we could try differently if we need to take her back out, and we got to give Thomas a good run later on. So I still think our goal is to try to get all 4 of our cars into the top 24 today, and so we have to get to work with Anna and get to work with Thomas right now.
Little tweaks with Anna, where Thomas maybe a little more?
Yeah, we made a pretty big change with Thomas to kind of duplicate some of the other guys' setups. Anna, it's more of a tweak. We had some pressures that we weren't real happy with during her run, so I think what we need to do is really go out and do a 224.2 or 224 plus, you know, to try to make sure we're solidly in the 24.
Robbie Buell's been up in the booth all day, and he said he felt something in his stomach, and I'm sure he ate breakfast. I have a feeling the nerves are starting to get to him. Unlike being in the cockpit, it's got to be tough for you.
Not too bad today. I mean, it's
Hey, Justin is laughing right now.
I'm glad you're having fun. Yeah, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking as you go through turn 1 and the car steps out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I wasn't in the car, so I didn't have that experience. Yeah. But no, we still have work to do. That's all. We have 2 more cars we want to try to get in this race.
How much better do you feel this year compared to last year, though? Because, I mean, it seemed like everybody was working hard to get in.
Yeah, everybody was. I mean, we're trying to be smart about it. I mean, quite a few cars have found the fence today, so we don't want to push too hard to where we take a big risk. This place is all about risk and reward, and we want to keep things in perspective and be smart.
Still several hours in the day. When they open it for practice, any chance of going out there trying to dial in the car a little bit better?
Yeah, I think we're going to go out here real soon with both Anna and Thomas and see what we can do.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. Thanks a lot. Congratulations on P10, Justin Wilson. Bob?
Hoping that it stands up for the shootout for the pole position coming up a little bit later this afternoon. We're on the 2nd floor of the Pagoda here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dennis talked about a tweak and a big change for Thomas. Now, what could be a tweak and what could be a big change?
Well, a couple things is Dennis has gotten very good at telling those guys what he thinks and wants to do when he's back on the wall, hasn't he? I was happy to hear Justin's answer first. You know, we just heard from Jack saying, hey, maybe Rafa Matos and Justin Wilson are the guys that got to bump back into that 9. But Justin made it very clear. He said one thing. He said, we went faster in that average speed than we expected. So if that's the case, sit on that. He knows he's solid in the top 24. Don't worry about being in that top 9. Focus on your race car. Don't take a risk. Don't get sucked and say, oh, you can maybe make that top 9, and then all of a sudden you put the car in the fence. Don't play that game.
Bob, I can tell you, if Justin would have said, you know, we're only a tick off. I know I can get into the top 9. He'd be grabbing his BlackBerry. He'd say, Dennis, don't let him go out. Don't let him go out. Because, you know, just like Dennis said, you need to be smart. And so far, you guys are looking very wise.
Yep, we are. And with Scheckter, with that tweak, we got to give Thomas a fair shot at. They got to get him back out there, get his car balanced, and get him a shot at being in this top 24, and they'll get there. The track's open now. We got a couple hours for them to do it.
Yep, we have less than 2 hours for this first segment until 4 o'clock, and then the shootout from 4:30 until 6 o'clock. Well, Alex Tagliani is P1 at the moment. Now, we promised you a little bit earlier an In Color with Jack Arute featuring Paul Tracy and Barry Green, and when we come back, we will have that interview. It's pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great to have you with us here on Versus.
Three-time Indy 500 winner, Elio Castroneves. Danica Patrick into the lead, making history. Fans on their feet for the side-by-side action. Dario, Franchitti, your series champion.
Leave your mark on the 2010 Indianapolis 500-mile race, May 30th.
Sponsored machine. Fastest lap of the month was 2:24.5. The P9 average is 2:25.1. That is by Ed Carpenter. He currently occupies P9.
We're even now.
Jan, you got sucked in the same thing that I did earlier when I saw that puff of smoke from there.
Yeah, but cars have already been out. You shouldn't see any puff of smokes right now. Anyway, so got me going.
So yours is worse.
Whatever.
Sebastian Saavedra, by the way, is out of the top 24. Now the driver on the bubble is Mario Romancini, and the green flag comes out for Vitor Meira, seeking his 8th start in an Indy 500. His best start was 6th in 2006. He finished in the runner-up position in 2005 and in 2008.
And if you look for that top 24 spot, that Romancini is at 223.3. I was thinking that's what you needed to make that top 24, and apparently it's going to be quicker. Great.
In 7 starts here at Indianapolis, he's completed all but 28 laps, and 27 of those were because of last year's incident. 223.606. Needs a little bit more than that, doesn't he?
He will not at all be happy with that.
Well, his engineer, Jeff Britton, has been with Vitor before when Vitor ran second here. And Britton was also, I believe, with Scott Sharp. When Sharp was really quick for 1 year and on the pole, Britton was that. So, I mean, there's a good brain trust there. And then you throw AJ in there with everything that he knows. They'll come back, get it sorted if they need to.
Second lap for Meira, 224.260. He picked it up a half a mile an hour.
Okay, what does that come back to? Does that come back to just, again, the challenge? I saw a clip that we showed at the beginning of this that Dixon just said, turn 1, that's the worst thing. Lap 1, turn 1 of qualifying. It is, just because you don't quite know what you have. Once you've gotten through turn 1, everything's great, but it's that challenge. And if you just breathe it a little bit, it can cost you, and that's maybe the difference in that, the 5/10 we're seeing there from lap 1 to lap 2.
It's also worth watching that he doesn't like the white line. He stays high in the middle of the corner and runs a higher line, which typically you see some other people are right on that white line.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
And you'll tend to run high if it's loose.
Yeah,
you don't want to pinch it down if it's loose. That's an indicator that I don't want to turn more than I have to.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do when the car is loose at the rear is turn the wheel.
Yep. But you have to 4 times.
But the flip side
was on the racetrack with a 225.502, 223 rather, .502, and a 222.561.
And I'm just looking back through my sheets. That opening lap, that first lap of Milka at 223.5, that's the fastest lap she's done all month.
I saw that first lap, I'm like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
You know, unfortunately, she dropped to 222.5 the second lap, but it's there. There's a time to get up and get on it, and she did it on lap 1.
She could somehow dial that back.
Yeah.
Just shows that practice speeds are not always indicative of future performance.
Third lap, 222.052, so she's lost 1.5 miles an hour over the past 3 laps. This will be Milka's 4th 500-mile race should she gain a starting spot in the 33-car field. She finished 19th here in 2008. Best finish was also that year 27th.
And I think we're safe to say, going on a limb here, I don't think that's good enough. That's not going to get you in the top 24.
No. Not today.
Now, that might be enough to get you to the top 33, but that doesn't play today. So
tune in tomorrow.
Had she maintained that first lap, she would have been close. The 4th lap is 221.554, so she lost 2 miles an hour. Average is 222.408. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Robbie Floyd.
And a 223.7, not what you were looking for, especially when you've been turning 225s. What happened? Where did you lose the mile an hour?
I couldn't find those other cars that have been out on the track with me. I don't know where they went.
Is that what it's been? Literally, you've been getting the toe to reach that number?
Well, it's just been, yeah, toes. But it's been a rough time for us so far. I mean, we're just plugging away. But TK on the first day took all 5 cars out at the same time, you know, within a half hour. And we were definitely at a 1.5 mile, 2 mile an hour deficit. But we've just been plugging away at it, squeezing it as much as we can, seeing if we can't get any drops of speed out of it. And we've gotten a little bit out of it, but in a straight line, we're having a hard time. Car's great through the corners, which means it's going to be a good race car. So I'm looking forward to just getting through qualifying and getting on to what matters, and that's the 500.
Yeah, but Lady Thaxton, you have to get in the race first, and I think Hideki likes his car, doesn't he?
Does, but Hideki says that he feels like you can find some more speed in that car, right?
Yes, I would say right now I'm happy. I'm right now P6, but I think we still need some speed, so we need to, I think, go out again this afternoon.
Thank you, Hideki. Jack?
Thanks.
Yeah, out on the racetrack right now, warming up Dario Franchitti, and by my analysis, guys, I think Dario may make an assault for the pole. Today, this morning, his mock qualifying run, a 226.153. If he can put together the kind of consistent laps that he had this morning, he might just unseat at P1.
Is that there's no stability or grip, and it's just scary, really scary.
So what are your plans now? What do you do now?
Honestly, the only thing I can imagine doing is just adding downforce and going out again, but would I actually go any quicker? I don't know. On the other hand, somehow I wish it would just be over with now. It's awful. It's awful.
Describe the feeling of being out there going that fast, and you are straight up not feeling safe and comfortable.
I think I'm still shaking. It's scary.
Okay, thanks, Danica.
And that, folks, is another example of what the drivers have to go through on pole day at Indianapolis.
Welcome to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
You know, right now, I think she should shift gears. I think she's fine to be in that top 24. And if she wants more downforce in the car and shift gears, get into developing your race car. You know what? I think you're safe. Put this behind you, the trimming. Look at the face.
Yeah.
Wow. You get into such a zone at this racetrack. You forget about everything else that's going on. Right now, she's just thinking how much she was fighting that race car. But as I said, maybe the best thing to do right now is get that car into race trim, get some downforce in it, and say qualifying's behind us. If we think a 24.2 average gets you into the top 24.
Sebastian Saavedra, another rookie here at the Indianapolis Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the only driver who hopes to drive in both races here this month. He has arrived for the Firestone Indy Lights race, Freedom 100 on Carb Day this coming Friday. And of course also trying to make the race the 500, the big race. He was the 2009 Rookie of the Year in the Firestone Indy Lights race. The speed on lap number 1 is 222.578.
That's a good speed.
Talking with Brian Herta yesterday, I went down on the pit stand and just said, how are things going with Saavedra? He said, well, he said, Robbie, at age 19, Saavedra, he said, think back when you and I were in our careers and we were about 25, 26, and where we were with just experience and maturity. He said, that's where this kid is right now at age 19.
Wow.
Which I thought was a pretty good compliment coming from Brian Herta, that's sitting there with the headphones on, listening to him and coaching him.
Obviously, I got my numbers reversed there. I thought it was 225.2, not a 2.5. So, you know, that is not what he was looking. Very nice of you not to slap me around there. You just looked at me and go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you know, no, we got, you know, I'm going to wait till I peak a little bit later with you. You know, it's not even 1 o'clock.
Got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'll start ramping that up about 3:30.
All right. But no, this is not.
In 2005 and in 2008.
And if you look for that top 24 spot, that Romancini is at 223.3. I was thinking that's what you needed to make that top 24, and apparently it's going to be quicker. Great.
In 7 starts here in Indianapolis, he's completed all but 28 laps, and 27 of those were because of last year's incident. 223.606. Needs a little bit more than that, doesn't he?
He will not at all be happy with that.
Well, his engineer, Jeff Britton, has been with Vitor before, when Vitor ran second here. And Britton was also, I believe, with Scott Sharp. When Sharp was really quick for 1 year and on the pole, Britton was that. So, I mean, there's a good brain trust there. And then you throw AJ in there with everything that he knows. They'll come back, get it sorted if they need to.
Second lap for Mira, 224.260. He picked it up a half a mile an hour.
Okay, what does that come back to? Does that come back to just, again, the challenge? I saw a clip that we showed at the beginning of this that Dixon just said, turn 1, that's the worst thing. Lap 1, turn 1 of qualifying. It is, just because you don't quite know what you have. Once you've gotten through turn 1, everything's great, but it's that challenge. And if you just breathe it a little bit, it can cost you, and that's maybe the difference in that, you know, the 5/10 we're seeing there from lap 1 to lap 2.
It's also worth watching that he doesn't like the white line. He stays high in the middle of the corner, runs a higher line, which typically sees some other people are right on that white line.
A little bit of a wiggle there.
And you'll tend to run high if it's loose.
Yeah,
you don't want to pinch it down if it's loose. That's an indicator that I don't want to turn more than I have to.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do when the car is loose at the rear is turn the wheel.
Yep. But you have to 4 times.
But the flip side of it, if you want to be super duper fast around here, the least amount that you're turning that wheel takes scrub off of it. You know, it doesn't have as much scrub. If it's turning in, you can make it work.
Checkered flag. Vitor Mira completes his qualifying run. 4th lap is 224.100, and the average is 224.033. He is P20. And the no brake indicator on the steering wheel is from Paul Tracy.
The reason there is that you don't use the brakes during qualifying, but you want to be sure they stay off of the rotors and don't cause any drag. So they actually push them back to be sure there's no drag whatsoever.
Just high. He comes off the middle portion of the corner and gets high, and then he realizes, boy, I better get this thing back.
So you can't say he's not driving it.
Saavedra 222.4, second slowest. Robbie is with Ed Carpenter.
And Ed just told me, come on, son, come on, Heat, come on, win. He's in PA right now, wanting to make that 9.
It's getting tricky out there. You know, we haven't had sunshine all week. The track temp's really high right now, so my car hadn't handled that bad all week. I had my hands full, but you know, it's qualifying in Indy. You just got to hang on to it and see what you can get. So I think everyone's going through the same thing. Listen to Danica on the other camera, but it's tough out there. So I know that we can make the car better if we get bumped out. I think we can go back out and get back in. I'm happy with the speed in the Fuzzy's car.
Yeah, you seem to be very comfortable out there. And let's bring in the man who
it's a relative word in qualifying.
Always is real. Now, Fuzzy Zeller, you're the principal for the Fuzzy's Ultra Premium Vodka. What do you think about all this Indy 500 stuff? You've been here before.
I got to tell you, I've been here before, yes, but never been involved with an automobile. It's truly outstanding. It's amazing what goes in and the talents that these guys have when they get behind that wheel. And I'm just glad we got him a car that's very, very competitive. And if he says he can get more out of it, that's pretty impressive.
How's this different with all the Palm circumstance compared to Augusta, say? Because that is the Indy 500 of the golfing world.
Well, there's really no hills out here, just curves, you know what I mean? So,
I don't know which is faster, the greens at Augusta or here at Indy.
Well, I'd have to say the boys will beat us out. Augusta's fast now, I won't tell you that, but what they do out there is truly absolutely amazes me.
So the Fuzzy's Premium Vodka, and I was talking to him earlier, I said, if you're doing body shots with that, would that be a fuzzy navel?
Right. The proud Hoosiers, favorite sons in the state of Indiana. Don't sell this guy short. This is Mario Moraes, and he has been fast in practice here at Indianapolis. Let's see what he can do. 225.9 has been his fastest. And the average now for P9, which right now is what they're shooting for, you can see there is Justin Wilson at 225.050. And the 224.565 is not going to do it for Mario.
And Mario, really, for that whole KV racing operation, right now, he's got to leave the flag. We had Paul Tracy that went out earlier, thought he was going to post a time for the KV team, but that car came out of gear. He's at the back of the line. Sato, we saw that he got in the wall this morning.
Whoa! And, too.
You know, EJ Bizo, he's good. You know, he crashed the other day, but he's a backup car, so... You know, they're looking for Mario to make a stout run, get him in the field solid, and shift the focus to the other guys.
Well, we've heard what the issue is. You saw Danica,
who hopes to drive in both races here this month. He has arrived for the Firestone Indy Lights race, Freedom 100 on Carb Day this coming Friday. And, of course, also trying to make the race the 500, the big race. He was the 2009 Rookie of the Year in the Firestone Indy Lights race. The speed on lap number 1 is 222.578.
That's a good speed.
Talking with Brian Herta yesterday, I went down on the pit stand and just said, how are things going with Saavedra? He said, well, he said, Robbie, at age 19, Saavedra, he said, think back when you and I were in our careers and we were about 25, 26, and where we were with just experience and maturity. He said, that's where this kid is right now at age 19.
Wow.
Which I thought was a pretty good compliment coming from Brian Herta, that's sitting there with the headphones on, listening to him and coaching him.
Obviously, I got my numbers reversed there. I thought it was 225.2, not a 2.5. So, you know, that is not what he was looking. Very nice of you not to slap me around there. You just looked at me and go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you know, no, we got, you know, I'm going to wait till I peak a little bit later with you. You know, it's not even 1 o'clock.
Still got a long way to go.
Yeah, I'll start ramping that up about 3:30.
All right. But no, this is not what he wanted. I thought for a moment it was a 225, which he would have been thrilled.
Yeah, another guy that's also helping out with that camp. It was great to see him. Whoa! That car, another guy I started to nicely say before I saw that save is Roberto Guerrero is out there.
That's right.
On the stand with those guys as well.
A fellow Colombian, Roberto Guerrero, former pole sitter here at Indianapolis, coaching Sebastian Saavedra.
Wow, that's when I'm happy I'm up here with you boys.
Yeah, that was a good save. Checkered flag coming up.
Well, that just goes to show, Bob, that even at 222 miles an hour, which we're saying, well, you know, that's not really what he wants and so on, you're still out there trying to save your life and get the thing as fast as you can. And you can see that as soon as it starts to get, and that's a good, nice four-wheel drift, and then at the end, the thing starts to step out the rear.
He's just high. He comes off the middle portion of the corner and gets high, and then he realizes, boy, I better get this thing back.
So you can't say he's not driving it.
Saavedra 222.4, second slowest. Robbie is with Ed Carpenter.
And Ed just told me, come on, son, come on, Heat, come on, win. He's in PA right now, wanting to make that 9.
It's getting tricky out there. You know, we haven't had sunshine all week. The track temp's really high right now, so my car hadn't handled that bad all week. I had my hands full, but you know, it's qualifying in Indy. You just got to hang on to it and see what you can get. So
yeah, because I just wanted to complete it. You know, I've led races and I had things happen, you know, last minute. So, you know, but again, great job. Take my hat off to the boys. You know, car's fast and just very consistent. You know, like I know that we need to do a little bit more for the top 9 shootout, and if we do, I think we'll look pretty good.
Here you are, come down to that yard of bricks, and what a difference a year makes.
Yeah, I'm still glad that I had to go through the emotions and the experience of Indianapolis 500, because when you do that, you know, and you go up and down in the roller coaster, you continue to have appreciation, but also respect. This track, you know, technically is challenging for the drivers, and you have to have respect. And every time, you know, something happens to you, you know, it keeps you reminding, all right, you know, this is Indy 500, you know, don't take it for granted.
Now, while you were knocked out on bump day, you were able to get your way back into the field last year, and you started 33rd, ended up in 11th position. What was that race like?
I think it was a combination of, you know, good team pit stop and a decent car, you know, like over the long run. The car was not the fastest, but it was solid in traffic, you know, like, and after long runs, you know, cars were coming back to us. We were able to pick up position on the racetrack, pick up position in the pits because we were not, you know, using too much fuel. So overall, it was kind of a combination of everything. Team, good car on the racetrack, and you know, good execution during the race.
Now, you realize you got a couple things you and Rob Edwards have got to think about. If you stay in P1, you will be the first choice of where to go when you go for the pole at 4:30 in the afternoon. Have you and Rob decided where you want to be in that line yet?
Yeah, we have an idea. We have actually 3 options.
All right, tell us.
Well, you know, I would like to be the last one to go, because I would like to see what other guys are doing, and I would like also to benefit from the weather going down. But that's taking advantage of the weather going down. If the weather doesn't go down as fast as I'm thinking, I would like to be option 2 first, so I have the chance to do another run. And then after I see the other guys behind me, what they do. And option 3, I can't tell you because that's going to be exposing ourselves too much. But, and, you know, after I'm looking at this knife and this apple, you know, now I understand why I had the pressure to get the car on the pole today.
Well, I hate to break the news to you that now when you go for the actual shootout, you're going to have to balance it and run through the house.
Is the knife bigger?
Let's go to Robbie Floyd.
And I am with Justin Wilson and Dennis Reinbold. That's your man right there, sitting in 10th place, trying to get it in that top 9. Or are you trying to get it into the 9 now?
But this is what makes this place so special in just the formula of the series. I mean, we heard from KV and we heard from Michael Andretti just how those guys are fighting. But as big teams with a lot of guys and a lot of data that they're receiving from all the cars, and then you see Eric's team that, you know, he got put together late this year. And hey, this is looking like a pretty solid run for Ground. I mean, it's great to see. I mean, that's why we love this place.
Yep. Score 1 for David here. David versus Goliath. We've heard from the Goliaths that are struggling. And like you said, nice couple of small teams doing very well.
Good, solid run. He's P19 at 224.189 for Bertrand Baguette. Vitor Meira goes on to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, sat out all the remaining races last year because of a crash during last year's 500.
I'm
I'm not gonna lie that the first sort of laps, first outings was a little nerve-wracking because it was in Indy that I tested the car first time. But afterwards, I mean, everything became normal and like it was before. The reality is I was doing something that I always going to do when the accident happened. I was not putting myself in any crazy position. I was doing what I always do, and things happen. So when I come back, I'm not even gonna think about it and do the same way I was doing because there was nothing wrong with it.
Vitor Meira warming up his car, owned of course by AJ Foyt, the ABC Supply Company sponsored machine. Fastest lap of the month was 2:24.5. The P9 average is 2:25.1. That is by Ed Carpenter. He currently occupies P9.
We're even now.
Jan, you got sucked in the same thing that I did earlier when I saw that puff of smoke from there.
Yeah, but cars have already been out. You shouldn't see any puff of smokes right now. Anyway, so got me going.
So yours is worse.
Whatever.
Sebastian Saavedra, by the way, is out of the top 24. Now the driver on the bubble is Mario Romancini, and the green flag comes out for Vitor Meira, seeking his 8th start in an Indy 500. His best start was 6th in 2006. He finished in the runner-up position in 2005 and in 2008.
And if you look for that top 24 spot, that Romancini is at 223.3. I was thinking that's what you needed to make that top 24, and apparently it's going to be quicker. Great.
In 7 starts here in Indianapolis, he's completed all but 28 laps, and 27 of those were because of last year's incident. 223.60.
Two-way on Memorial Day. I think it's pretty fitting, don't you?
Indeed, always carrying colors proudly of the National Guard, Dan Wheldon, and he is about to complete his first lap of qualifying. Let's see what he does for Panther Racing. First lap is 225.047. Good lap.
You know, you talk what a fickle racetrack this is from one day to the next, from 1 hour to the next. When they rolled off Dan Wheldon with that Panther race car, they were pretty fast, pretty happy right from the get-go. Then I think it was maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, he wasn't very happy with the race car. So it's amazing how it just can flip-flop with a team that's got experience, won races, always been fast, a driver that's a champion around here. You just can't assume anything. You can never leave this racetrack and say, well, I got it figured out.
He crashed the car last Sunday off of turn number 4. Didn't damage it very much. He didn't hurt himself. Second lap, 224.667. Dan Wheldon has led more laps during the Indianapolis 500 than any other active driver. 234. That puts him 21st on the all-time list. Next is Elio. And then Scott Dixon, who is tied with Jimmy Murphy. Dan Wheldon off of corner number 4 onto the front stretch. Here's lap number 3 completed. The white flag comes out. Third lap, 224.314.
So what we're seeing there in his lap times of 1 to 3, just a little bit of that fall off. That's that more that normal spread from lap 1 to 3. Ooh, look out!
Talk about free. He was free there.
I was looking at the numbers. You guys were watching the car, so I just talked numbers.
Is that why you jumped?
He jumped because I went. Anytime you shift over from the black part of the race chart, of course, to that light gray, it gets hairy.
Checkered flag for Dan Wheldon. Fourth lap, 223.831. The average is 224.464. So he is P11. Here's Wheldon. Awfully close to the wall on several of his laps there.
That's no big deal. That's no big deal.
That was slow motion.
Right. Stay with us for more qualifying on pole day at Indianapolis here on Versus. Partly cloudy cloudy skies, even sunshine over the track today.
So they actually pushed them back to be sure there's no drag whatsoever.
No other car in line to qualify. Paul is very quotable, and we picked up a quote that he had regarding the amount of time that we have had with good running conditions here. Killing time is killing me. Frustrating part is we've had a bit of running. I tasted the meat. Now I'm back in my cage, and there's a whole carcass outside. It's out of reach.
Oh, PT. Good for PT.
So Tracy had the car pop out of gear earlier in 6 starts here at Indianapolis. His best finish was in 2002 when he came in second to Helio Castroneves. He's had a 2:26.3 earlier in the month. Let's see what he can do when the chips are down and he's out there qualifying. Jack?
Paul Tracy will be the first to admit that getting back here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 1 year ago helped him considerably. But this year he's been reunited, as you guys have talked about before, with Barry Green. The two of them experienced so much success together, but they were like the odd couple. I asked them, I said, you guys weren't afraid to get up in each other's grill? And they said, yep, but we also knew and respected that both of us had a passion for what we do.
And that relationship that they have and that communication from talking from pit stand to the driver with being successful, that just puts you ahead before you even get to race day, and the green flag is having that.
A lot of bottoming, a lot of sparks. You would assume that would go away as the tire pressures and temperatures come up, but he's on the green here. You don't want to be dragging the car around the track.
223.998 first lap.
Ooh, another one that doesn't, another driver that doesn't like that white line. Now, he's been doing that not just today. He's been doing that throughout, just driving high everywhere.
I mean, that's what we expect from Paul Tracy too. I mean, he's not just quotable. Part of why his quotes are out there is the same way he drives. I mean, he lays it all out there.
Yep. Barry Green, of course, a brother of Kim Green, who was an owner with Michael Andretti until this year. Let's see what he does on lap number 2. Paul Tracy, it is 223.921.
Backs it up. Car looked pretty stable, so he ran that same line. Pretty much the car was in the same place as it was the lap before.
Here, and he's right now 23rd on the chart. And Paul, I heard you say this was pretty much the worst possible time you could have gone out.
Yeah, definitely frustrating for the whole KV team and Geico. I mean, we've had such a good week and everything's been going to plan, and then you know, today it's like the wheels fell off the cart, you know, with Sato crashing this morning, and we had a gearbox problem, and Mario crashing in his qualifying run, and you know, EJ having a gearbox problem. So, you know, that was a pretty conservative setup, hoping we could run 224. We were right on the cusp of that, but you know, it's not fast enough, and we're going to have to come back out and try it again.
How do you keep focused when things like that are going on with the whole team? It can't be easy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's you just got to stay calm and let the team do their work. But you know, today it's like the wheels fell off it today, so it's definitely frustrating.
And so your issue this morning when you went back and looked ended up being the gearbox?
Yeah, I went from 4th to 5th gear for top gear for my qualifying run, and got a neutral. And it looks like that happened to EJ as well.
We'll see you back out here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, thanks.
And a little bit later in the program, Jack Arute will have his famous in-color interview with Barry Green and Paul Tracy. But when we come back, Jack Arute will be talking to the guy who is currently P1. That, of course, is Alex Tagliani. And so we'll be back with that in just a moment from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Welcome Welcome back to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It is peak pole day here at the greatest spectacle in racing, leading up to the running next week of the Indianapolis 500. You're going to hear cars out on the racetrack because for the first time since 11 o'clock this morning, the track is open for practice. Joining me now in P1. Now, years ago, they would have said he was the provisional pole winner, but Alex Tagliani went out early, and because of the new chase at 4:30, where you actually go for the pole, he gets seated in P1 and then have to do it all over again. But what about that run? Tell me first about the weather conditions, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, there's some very competitive cars, obviously, because I think the weather has affected the performance of the car. Obviously, it's a little bit more slippery, and so we took advantage of an early draw yesterday night to go out early and post a great lap. But, you know, we have to be cautious, and what's fun for the fans this afternoon is not fun to the driver. I would like just to be on the pole right now, but it's going to be interesting and very intense this afternoon.
Now, I understand, Tags, you haven't seen your pole run yet. Is that right?
No, I didn't.
You ready for it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go to the big board. All right, here you are.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, again, I looked at the car and I looked at it in the garage, and what a great job the boys have done on preparing this machine, you know, like as fine-tuned as possible. The engineer gave me a...
But again, if she can maintain this pace, I think this is a really good, solid pace to make sure you're in that top 24. So when it comes to tomorrow, she can focus on race setup.
A little bit slower on lap number 3, 223.920. Danica Patrick from Roscoe, Illinois. 28 years of age. Sets the car into turn number 3. She resides in Phoenix, Arizona now. Calls Roscoe, however, the home, and here she is in turn number 4 onto the front stretch, and Danica Patrick is about to take the checkered flag. Let's see what lap number 4 is, and the tracker says 15th. It is 223.428, average 224.217, and she is 15th, P15.
We've talked about managing expectations. We've said this is good for Danica. She's going to be in the top 24. But when you hear Dario Franchitti, who's sitting 3rd right now, saying, well, we're going to do some tuning and come back out again, hang on a minute. You only have to be in the top 9 for the pole shootout. But there's a lot at stake today, and we're going to see people that we think are just managing expectations come out again. It's going to make it awesome.
Still lots of cars to qualify, as there are lots of cars in line at the moment. And among those yet to qualify, Ryan Briscoe and Tony Kanaan. Sebastian Saavedra is next in line. Ryan Briscoe coming up, and so is Tony Kanaan. Could they be a pole sitter? Is in line to qualify at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and behind him Tony Kanaan in the green and white car, 7-11. And there is the line. Now, Paul Tracy, remember, did not complete. In fact, he did not take the flag when he went onto the racetrack because the car apparently popped out of gear. So he has to go to the end. There he is. The car is way back in line. He will be out, however, before too much longer, as we have qualified now 21 cars. So in just 3 more, we will begin the bumping process of getting into the top 24, which is all that will qualify today. Rafael Matos has completed 3 laps, 225.337, 224.916, and 225.047.
And you just saw where the ruler had him slotted into P9 there.
Yep.
As you're saying, is our predictions for what we thought it was going to take to be in that 9th position and on up is looking that those speeds are
for the pole. You get seated in P1 and then have to do it all over again. But what about that run? Tell me first about the weather conditions, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, there's some very competitive cars, obviously, because I think the weather has affected the performance of the car. Obviously, it's a little bit more slippery, and so we took advantage of an early draw yesterday night to go out early and post a great lap. But, you know, we have to be cautious, and what's fun fun for the fans this afternoon. It's not fun to the driver. I would like just to be on the pole right now, but it's going to be interesting and very intense this afternoon.
Now, I understand, Tags, you haven't seen your pole run yet. Is that right?
No, I didn't.
You ready for it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's go to the big board. All right, here you are.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, again, I looked at the car and I looked at it in the garage, and what a great job the boys have done on preparing this machine, you know, like as fine-tuned as possible. The engineer gave me a really, really good car, and it's, you know, like you can see the sparks coming out of the back. It's
Do you feel that, Tags, when you're in the car?
Yes. It's bottoming a little bit, but you have to be as low as possible. When you're running very little downforce, I mean, you're trying as much as possible to run as low as possible so you can get the ground effect if you're taking wing out, and that's why you can see those little sparks coming up and once in a while in the corner, especially when the car is loaded. Maximum amount of load, you'll see it is like when you get close to the apex in turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4, and that's when the car touches a little bit.
Yeah, but watch right here. You don't really take out full advantage of the real estate. This car seems to be hooked up.
Yeah, the car is quite hooked up, and the thing is, everybody has their own line. Everybody has their, you know, their own mentality about Indy, and you know, if you can run and not really just run too much road, you know, too much real estate, then obviously your lap is going to be a little bit quicker. And I've been looking at the data, analyzing the data, and that's where we need to be to run quick. So unless the car asks me to go all the way to the wall, I'm not just going to take it there because I want to run a short line.
When you're in the midst of a run like this, when do you know that you've got it locked? When do you know that you've got what you need? I mean, I know you've got all the data on the dashboard, but you still feel it in the seat of your pants, don't you?
Yes. You look at the dash, I mean, you see, you know, miles per hour speed. It gives you an indication. My first lap, obviously, was a 226.7, and that gave me a little bit of an indication that the car was good, but also I made the mistake where, you know, on the second and third lap, I was not aggressive enough with the tools I had in the car to keep the nose down, and I got a little bit too much push. The car slid around a little bit more, and you know, my average got down a little bit too low than I was expecting.
All right, this is the last lap, 2.5 miles to Q1. You knew you had a good one here, right?
Yeah, but it was the time in my career that I was the most stressed.
Really? Like everybody was working hard to get in.
Yeah, everybody was. I mean, we're trying to be smart about it. I mean, quite a few cars have found the fence today, so we don't want to push too hard to where we take a big risk. This place is all about risk and reward, and we want to keep things in perspective and be smart.
Still several hours in the day. When they open it for practice, any chance of going out there trying to dial in the car a little bit better?
Yeah, I think we're going to go out here real soon with both Anna and Thomas and see what we can do.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. Thanks a lot. Congratulations on P10, Justin Wilson. Bob?
Hoping that it stands up for the shootout for the pole position coming up a little bit later this afternoon. We're on the second floor of the Pagoda here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dennis talked about a tweak and a big change for Thomas. Now, what could be a tweak and what could be a big change?
Well, a couple things is Dennis has gotten very good at telling those guys what he thinks and wants to do when he's back on the wall, hasn't he? I was happy to hear Justin's answer first. You know, we just heard from Jack saying, hey, maybe Rafa Matos and Justin Wilson are the guys that got to bump back into that 9. But Justin made it very clear. He said one thing. He said, we went faster in that average speed than we expected. So if that's the case, sit on that. He knows he's solid in the top 24. Don't worry about being in that top 9. Focus on your race car. Don't take a risk. Don't get sucked and say, oh, you can maybe make that top 9, and then all of a sudden you put the car in the fence. Don't play that game.
Bob, I can tell you, if Justin would have said, you know, we're only a tick off. I know I can get into the top 9. He'd be grabbing his BlackBerry. He's saying, Dennis, don't let him go out. Don't let him go out. Because, you know, just like Dennis said, you need to be smart. And so far, you guys are looking very wise.
Yep, we are. And with Schechter, with that tweak, we got to give Thomas a fair shot at. They got to get him back out there, get his car balanced, and get him a shot at being in this top 24, and they'll get there. The track's open now. We got a couple hours for them to do it.
Yep, we have less than 2 hours for this first segment until 4 o'clock, and then the shootout from 4:30 until 6 o'clock. Well, Alex Tagliani is P1 at the moment. Now, we promised you a little bit earlier an In Color with Jack Arute featuring featuring Paul Tracy and Barry Green. And when we come back, we will have that interview. It's pole day at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great to have you with us here on Versus.
Three-time Indy 500 winner, Castroneves.
Danica Patrick into the lead, making history.
Fans on their feet for the side-by-side action.
Dario, Franchitti, your series champion.
Leave your mark on the
just 224.033. He is P20. And the no brake indicator on the steering wheel is from Paul Tracy.
The reason there is that you don't use the brakes during qualifying, but you want to be sure they stay off of the rotors and don't cause any drag. So they actually push them back to be sure there's no drag whatsoever.
No other car in line to qualify. Paul is very quotable, and we picked up a quote that he had regarding the amount of time that we have had with good running conditions here. Killing time is killing me. Frustrating part is we've had a bit of running. I tasted the meat. Now I'm back in my cage, and there's a whole carcass outside. It's out of reach.
Oh, PT. Good for PT.
So Tracy had the car pop out of gear earlier in 6 starts here at Indianapolis. His best finish was in 2002 when he came in second to Castroneves. He's had a 226.3 earlier in the month. Let's see what he can do when the chips are down and he's out there qualifying. Jack?
Paul Tracy will be the first to admit that getting back here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway 1 year ago helped him considerably. But this year he's been reunited, as you guys have talked about before, with Barry Green. The two of them experienced so much success together, but they were like the odd couple. I asked them, I said, you guys weren't afraid to get up in each other's grill? And they said, yep, but we also knew and respected that both of us had a passion for what we do.
And that relationship that they have and that communication from talking from pit stand to the driver with being successful, that just puts you ahead before you even get to race day, and the green flag is having that.
A lot of bottoming, a lot of sparks. You would assume that would go away as the tire pressures and temperatures come up, but he's on the green here. You don't want to be dragging the car around the track.
223.998 first lap.
Ooh, another one that doesn't, another driver that doesn't like that white line. Now, he's been doing that not just today. He's been doing that throughout, just driving high everywhere.
I mean, that's what we expect from Paul Tracy too. I mean, he's not just quotable. Part of why his quotes are out there is the same way he drives. I mean, he lays it all out there.
Yep. Barry Green, of course, a brother of Kim Green, who was an owner with Michael Andretti until this year. Let's see what he does on lap number 2. Paul, aborted run. And the 36 car of Bertrand Baguette is on the racetrack. By the way, Ryan married over the past winter to an old friend of ours, Nicole Mansky. Bertrand Baguette, a rookie here at Indianapolis, is the 2009 World Series by Renault champion. He's from Belgium and becomes the first driver from that country to race here since 1999 when Wim Ekmans drove here. He was some relation to Eddie Cheever, wasn't he?
Don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
I remember when
wasn't he? I think so.
No one's going to give you a confirmation on that one.
No, I'm learning something. I didn't realize.
If not related, I know Eddie was. Boy, he got close to the wall, didn't he? He was sort of a protege of Eddie.
Whatever you say, Bob.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Good for you.
And whatever it is, I'm sure Eddie took credit for it. If something good happened.
Fellas, the one thing I remember about that is that when I interviewed him, I asked him what he thought. He says, I just want to go fast.
You'd have to say the benchmark here would be his team car. Romancini was 223.3, and he's beat that.
Yeah,
at lap one.
Almost 224 for Bertrand, 223.9.
Which isn't really a surprise when you compare him to his team car, because Bertrand has always been a little bit quicker for some reason than Mario. You would think it'd be reversed with Mario at least having been here with the Indy Lights program, but he's adapted very well and very comfortable in the race car.
He's had a couple of 20th place finishes in the Eyes on IndyCar series so far this year at Barber and at Kansas. Didn't join the team until that race at Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham. Second lap is 224.219, so he picked it up on lap 2. The best finish, by the way, of a Belgium driver here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was in, and you might be able to remember this, Robbie, it was in 1913 when Theodore Paulette started 13th and finished 4th.
It was. That was at the tip of my tongue, but you didn't give me a window. You didn't give me a window on it.
Is he friends with Eddie Cheever?
Yeah, I think so.
I like poking sticks at Cheever.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Third lap. 224.243. He's probably listening right now. Maybe up here before too long.
But this is what makes this place so special in just the formula of the series. I mean, we heard from KV and we heard from Michael Andretti just how those guys are fighting. But as big teams with a lot of guys and a lot of data that they're receiving from all the cars, and then you see Eric's team that, you know, he got put together late this year. And hey, this is looking